Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 3rd, 2023 Glens Falls, City of Glens Falls Planning Board meeting. We will start with the review and potential approval of the minutes from the September 5th, 2023 meeting. I'll start with Mr. Lanfear. Any comments on our stuff?
No, everything looked great.
Good. Ms. Andrews, nothing there?
No comment. No comment.
No comment.
You, I had nothing as well. Great job. I would make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board hereby accepts the minutes as submitted. Take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All set. Our first item on the agenda today is old business. This is an outside dining permit, planning board review, and issuance of an advisory opinion to the City of Glens Falls County Council is required prior to the council's review and approval of the following permit for Jerry Pareca outside dining permit at Lorella's Restaurant at 21 Bay Street. Is there somebody here to represent this application? Jerry, join.
Hi.
What can you tell us about your application? We do have the materials that you provided in front of us. Is there anything you'd like to add to it?
No, just what's there.
Pretty much. Okay. It looks like you've got four tables of four that you're
Right.
looking to put out there.
Right.
Okay. It's a fairly well detailed application. I see that there's a lot of the information that's going to the Common Council and the Department of Health is included.
Right.
We appreciate that. So, I will start with our board members, and I do have Mr. Brown, our architectural consultant, had no comments on this outside application, so I will start with Mr. Landry. Any questions for you, sir?
Not really. I mean, it looks to me, does this basically kind of fall in compliance with other ones that are in the downtown area?
Yes.
As far as, okay. No, I didn't see any problem.
Okay.
Ms. Bell?
No, it looks great. It, again, it goes along with what else, the other places around the city, and it's a good drawing for us, well represented, so I don't see an issue with this.
I agree.
Ms. Andrews?
No comment.
Is this going to be on past the duration, like going into fall, or is it not going to be there?
I just wanted to get the proof for next year.
Oh, for next year?
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, because I've missed it, because of the lack of help, I haven't been able to get over here, so.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
I have just one question. I noticed other ones, do you have to have a barrier, an enclosure around it?
So that was what I was going to ask you. You're showing that you've got an open end and then
Right.
it's temporary. You're putting like temporary
Yeah,
walls.
but do you have to have that?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because you have to clearly define where your dining area is versus the walking space. And I know there are some out there that are
Yeah,
not,
that's
not doing that. and
that's
that
why I'm
becomes-
questioning.
That becomes an enforcement issue.
Okay.
So that's what it ultimately boils down to. The other ones that had been done came to us and said that they would have those in there. So we do have to have something that clearly delineates where your dining area
Okay.
stops and the walking surface begins.
Okay.
And that was one thing I was going to mention to you. You are showing a 5-foot walkway between you and the edge
Right.
of the brick, and we've been told that the brick doesn't count. So
Right.
I was glad to see that. The balusters that you have are just going to be the freestanding.
Yeah,
Yeah, not actually anchored in.
no.
All right, good.
No secret.
No seeker on this, so I think that we can just make an advisory opinion, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone would like to throw that out there for me?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby submits the following advisory opinion to the Common Council that they should look with favor on the application of Jerry Pareca for an encroachment permit, correct? As discussed at the meeting of October 3, 2023,
With no amendments.
with no amendments.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Jerry, you're all set.
Thank you.
You're headed to the Common Council next, and they'll be on the next.
You don't have to come to that.
You don't have
Right.
to come to that one. That one, they're just going to go through it. And,
Okay, thank you.
It'll be a resolution on next week's, and then you'll receive your encroachment.
Okay, thank you.
You gotta have this.
Thank you.
You can't count these buildings.
Okay. Our next item of business under old business is subdivision of land 230001 pursuant to City Code 220-10. Corey Hyman, the owner of tax map number 302.15-6-6, commonly known as 38 Horicon, is seeking review and approval of subdivision to her lot.
Matt Steve's asked me to give this to you, to run it to the planning board in December. I'm going to read from this because I have a lot to say. Digress. Firstly, I'd like to thank the planning board for their dedication and perseverance throughout this application process. First, I will address the false statement that was made by Kevin Logie, in which it was stated that Lot 2 would be smaller than all of the other lots on Horicon, and that the lots on Horicon are mostly double lots. I provided the planning board, well within the deadline for submission of documents for review, a chart listing every lot on Horicon depicting parcel, street number, and acreage for each lot. This information is available on the Warren County Tax Assessment Database. 20,000 square feet is 0.459 acres. Only 6 of the 33 lots on Horicon are twice the minimum required lot size, and one of them is mine. As for the statement that the proposed lot would be smaller than all the other lots, the chart proves the following. Proposed lot 2 is equal to or larger than 15 of the 33 lots on Horicon. Proposed lot 1 is equal to or larger than 21 of the 33 lots on the entire street. I would also like to address Hurley's statement that adding a home to proposed lot 2 would be comparable to, quote, someone putting a house in his backyard. I disagree. Firstly, it would be impossible for there to be a subdivision of Hurley's lot that could result in a second legal sized lot, as his home is squarely in the middle of his barely double lot, 0.46 acres. More importantly, there are no houses on the entire street that have a house in their backyard. However, every 100 feet down the entire length of Horicon Avenue, there is a house with the exception of the empty space next to my home on proposed lot 2. Therefore, adding a home to this empty space would in fact add to the continuity and the flow of the neighborhood. Mr. Lindel's stormwater management concerns with the removal of the pool, which including the concrete around the edges covered approximately 1,500 square feet, I have increased the water permeable ratio of the proposed lot by well over 10%. Also, as I pointed out to Mr. and Mrs. Lindell after the August meeting, to access the proposed lot 2, I would need to remove at least 3 sections of the chain link fencing from the alley. This would provide a substantial additional area for snow and ice to be deposited during the plowing of the alley and should significantly reduce the issues that the Lindells are experiencing with storm drain overflow. In addition to this, I plan to incorporate any necessary infrastructure to ensure that the building of my home will create no stormwater runoff issues. Now I will address the cases that Attorney Richards would cite as precedents to this application, wherein the planning board imposed restrictions that were not in the code. Firstly, I must point out that both of the cases he had cited were from the town of Northeast Hampton, 6 hours, 252 miles, 10 counties away, and both of these cases occurred over 30 years ago. The first case was Conslick versus the planning board of the town of East Hampton. Ms. Conslick owned 17 acres adjacent to a nature preserve, which was owned by the town of East Hampton. Neither of my lots are adjacent to a nature preserve. The second case, Macchio versus planning board of the town of East Hampton, was a property wherein an inspection by archaeologists found artifacts scattered throughout the property, and it was in close proximity to an encampment used by the Montauk Indians as a burial ground, and and the property was essentially steep ridge land, which raised concerns about the dangers of soil erosion, driveway safety, and visual damage which result on steep slopes. My lot is not archaeologically sensitive and is nearly completely flat. Most importantly, it must be noted that in both cases the restrictions were created by the planning board of East Hampton, not a random resident. I will now address these restrictions that Mr. Knapp is proposing that the planning board should apply to my application. Access. I believe that the restriction that Mr. Knapp is asking the board to impose to deny me access on the street on which my lot is located is based on unfound claims by Mr. Knapp that it would cause a safety hazard, as there is no sidewalk either to the east or the west of the proposed lot, which means that there would be no danger to any pedestrian, particularly if I were to implement Attorney Judd's suggestion to use both sides of the lot to avoid backing out either into the alley or onto Horicon. Siting. I intend to build within the setbacks set forth in the zoning code of the city of Glens Falls. Materials and design. Mr. Knapp has asked the planning board to restrict my choices of architectural styles to the following: Tudor, Victorian, Georgian, or colonial. I would like to state at this time that it is my opinion that it is a diversity of architectural styles of homes that makes Glens Falls unique and charming. We do not live in a cookie-cutter development. I provided the board, again well within the required deadline, an attachment with images of the various styles of homes on Horicon which differ from the styles that Mr. Knapp would restrict my choices to. The architectural style which appeals to me most is bungalow style. There are 4 homes within 600 feet of my lot, one of which is located on Horicon, that are excellent examples of bungalow style. Landscaping, native plantings only. While I have hundreds of native plantings in my yard, I also enjoy specimens from other regions, as do all my neighbors. Mr. Knapp's front yard, I would estimate, contains at least 95% lawn. This is not only not a native planting, but an invasive non-native that is considered by most to be the antithesis of native plantings. Conserving water is one of the most important impacts of using native plantings, second only to supporting wildlife, especially pollinators. Grass is the single largest irrigated crop in America, surpassing corn and wheat, yet yields no value and provides no support to pollinators. So obviously Mr. Knapp has no passion for native plantings, and I would at this point state that I believe Mr. Knapp knows that I am an avid gardener. I believe this is proposed restriction to native plantings is simply an attempt on his part to use the planning board to impose these restrictions on me to prevent me from fully enjoying my property. Consistency. Mr. Knapp states that the house should be a minimum of 3 bedrooms. While I have yet to determine how many beds I would like to have in my home, there is no required minimum in the zoning code of the city of Glens Falls for the number of bedrooms in a home. And one last thing I would like to state, mostly for the benefit of Mr. Knapp and anybody else who might be interested, I'm sure the planning board is aware of this. I would like to go through what it takes for a municipality to adopt zoning law. Zoning law is drafted through the collaboration of architects, engineers, and attorneys whose services are procured through a zoning committee that is appointed by the city council. It must then be submitted to Warren County for approval. Then the proposed zoning plan is subject to review by several state agencies, including the DOT and the DEC, as well as any adjacent government bodies. Before the plan can be adopted, there must be a minimum of 2 public hearings and a vote by the city council to adopt the zoning law. Yet Mr. Knapp proposes to simply make up new laws and then expects that the planning board will selectively enforce them on just me. Thank you, that's all I have.
I think that the materials that you just gave us are updated materials from
Oh, yes.
today, right?
Yep.
Would you like to go over those real quick?
Yes, I will, sorry.
Just explain what it was that you handed us.
I got a call from Van Duzen, from Steve,
Matt Stevens.
Matt Steves, yes. And he informed me that there was a conflict, that somebody had contested his survey. This was a person who scanned it into their computer. They did not have actual measurements. And they actually falsely stated that he had given it to them. He did not give them the survey. And this person is claiming that the measurements are incorrect, and Mr. Steve says that his measurements are correct.
So he's provided us with an updated map
Yep.
with the site coverage.
Correct, of
broken
each
down,
parcel, of each part of the parcel.
Each part of the parcel and what he's considering his lot coverage data, and he's backed up that to back up his number of 29.17% impermeable.
Correct.
Okay. And there was a letter that he had provided with that. I don't know if you want to read that into.
Yes, I could read that.
You gave him all the copies. You all got, this is what I wrote out. This is what, before I get this, came up.
So this is a letter from Matt Steves of Van Duzen and Steves Land Surveyors. Our office is in receipt of correspondence presented to this board by John H. Richards, attorney at law, dated October 3rd, 2023, and we would like to provide some clarification regarding the information it contains. Regarding our survey mapping of the proposed subdivision lot at 38 Horicon Avenue, it seems Mr. Richards has retained the services of R.U. Homes Engineers, PLLC, to dispute our lot coverage calculations. As independent arbiters of factual information, we would, first and foremost, respectfully offer that we are without bias or even room for subjectivity in the calculations we provide. To confirm this, we are now providing a revised version of our map with specific area calculations for each impermeable surface. It's attached. While it is unusual for us to have to go to such an extent, we felt that in this case it would be necessary to defend our work. Please note that we have not factored the walks or the patio into our impermeable areas as per guidance received from the Planning Board Council, but our calculations do include all the listed areas, including asphalt surfacing for the alley on the south side of the parcel. Additionally, while the marked-up version of our survey map indicates that it was provided to others, our office has not been contacted by anyone, nor have we provided our mapping to any parties outside of our client. We cannot speak to how others may be able to arrive at their own calculations, but our AutoCAD file has not left our office, and all the numbers we present are based on area calculations within that program. Please feel free to contact our office should any additional information be required.
Thank you. Is that where you're going to end?
Yeah, I mean,
Then I would ask if there's anybody from the public who would like to speak on this application. Mr. Richards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would like to speak on this. And the letter that apparently was forwarded to Matthew Steves is one I sent to Karen Judd, and I'd like to give a copy to the board if I may.
I forwarded it to Ethan earlier today.
Okay. Please. And the print that was used was the one provided on the by the Building and Codes Department. That's what they used. Now, I haven't had a chance to review this material here, so I don't know what to use. If I could have a couple minutes to just look at this.
Certainly. While Mr. Richards is looking through this, is there anybody else who would like to speak? So we don't hold up the proceedings. Peter, is there anybody online? John, while you're going through that, I'm going to start with our board and ask questions of the consent.
So the only other thing I would ask is on the stone, just to clarify, the stone walk, the slate patio, the field stone, is there cement there, or is it?
There's grass growing.
Grass growing.
There's no cement on any of that area.
the walkways, you mean like this walkway here?
The walkway to Horicon and then the areas in the back, is there cement between the stones in your house?
Yeah, I mean, on this patio here, yes.
So that's, it's a cement and stone area, okay.
So I have any questions for you?
Well, getting information late, I think that this is really not difficult to navigate, to be honest with you. I don't think there's any issues with the project at the end at all.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go over Mr. Richards' material that he just gave us, but I have no problem with the project either.
Ms. Bird?
No, I agree, it's a subdivision. I think a lot of these things don't have anything to do with what we're trying to make a decision on for the subdivision. And lot sizes is good information to have, and the lot is comparable to all those other lots. So it's within our zoning. I don't see these other issues as being part of the decision-making process for us.
I concur with that too. I mean, in theory, to me, if it meets the requirements as far as the permeable and impermeable, I don't see how we could have done
If I could add something. First of all, impermeable and permeable, that's not that I see in this ordinance. That's a Queensbury ordinance term. It's lot coverage. But be that as it may, I don't see that Matt has included some of the improvements on the property.
Such as,
Well, the concrete walk to Kensington, the stone walk, which you now know has cement, so it's
it's
clearly.
listed as a stone paver. And by our definition, Karen, you can jump in if you'd like. By our definition and what's been given to us by our code enforcement, that's considered permeable.
Stone with cement?
It's considered permeable as a stone walkway.
As I say, it does not include the concrete walk. I'm just trying to do this quickly. I really would like to have an opportunity to have our engineer look at this. I can't make a
I
decision.
get to the point, Mr. Richards, that I think we're splitting hairs here. I mean, we have a stamped survey that was given to us by the surveyor that says that we are at 29.17% impermeable, which meets the requirement of the code, which was what you asked for. And that's what's been provided.
And we have an engineer's report that says.
I understand
something
that,
different.
and I have a letter from the surveyor that says that that was not given to your engineer with his knowledge. So
Right.
that was something that was given on a freedom of information law that came from the city building department that was then scanned and then put into AutoCAD.
How can we evaluate it if we don't have a chance to have our expert look at it?
We were handing stuff this afternoon as well, so
No, I understand, but I don't have my engineer here.
I understand that.
I would like to have an opportunity to have him respond to this.
Well, your engineer could have gone and looked at it independently instead of using someone else's work product.
He got it from the building and codes, the only thing
They
that's
use
is
someone
publicly
else's work
available.
product.
Yeah. I don't
Some of
know.
these are with regard to the building rather than the subdivision. Some of the questions you're pushing don't address the subdivision question. They push the building of the future home, if that was to come up at different times. Some of these things fall under that.
That's certainly correct. That's the condition. I think that was, I couldn't hear too well from Ms. Heyman, but I think she was talking about that. But what I'm focusing on right now is whether you're creating a non-conforming lot,
And according to the map we have in front of us, we are not.
according to one map.
The only map that we have signed right now by a professional surveyor,
Very reputable.
100%.
I'm not disparaging that.
That's the only thing that we have, the map that you've given to us does not even contain a seal.
It's signed, I can get it sealed.
I understand that, but it's, what we're given right now, it's not.
But I'd like to just take a minute and see what he's included. Can you just bear with me, I'm gonna go back to my seat, I'll be back in just a minute.
Can we go to the procedure?
With respect to seeker, I would classify this as a type 2 action, as the city treats lot line adjustments as a subdivision, and therefore no further action is required.
I do appreciate the legwork that you put in. I find that it is very thorough, and that you've gone over and above what would normally be required of a subdivision. I do believe that the lot that you're proposing is a compliant lot. And from the map that we have been provided by Mr. Steves, and the definition that
How our code interprets the pavers as being permeable.
You did remove the pavers that were between your garage and
That's right,
the
yes.
road. I drove by this afternoon and saw that
That removed 524 square feet,
of non-permeable.
Right.
which if there was not, it could have been permeable anyway, but you removed it.
I removed them anyway, and it looks better anyway, so it's actually fine. Thank you. Yeah, it's fine.
And again, I think that the work in, as you stated, the work in the alleyway that will have to be done in order for you to have the access back there. I think that will, I drove through it shortly after we had the last meeting.
Okay.
I drove through the alleyway during the storm.
Oh, okay.
Just because I had been waiting for that to happen. I drove through the alleyway because I know it's a very narrow
Yeah.
lot, or very narrow passageway, carriage house passageway. And you could see where there were wells,
Yeah.
but it wasn't overly, and I do believe that you're kind of right in that area where everything
Right.
where that issue was. So I didn't see a huge issue happening while it was raining.
Yeah, okay.
I asked him, there was no other public comment.
Okay,
You can say what you can say.
okay.
I'm just waiting to see what's happening here. I'm not gonna hold this up terribly.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not an engineer, I can't come up with an answer off the top of my head, obviously, so I would repeat my request. Table this for a month while we get our engineer to respond.
At this point, I think we've dragged this out long enough, to be honest.
Then in the alternative, if I may say one other thing, I would repeat my request to impose the reasonable conditions that I believe this board has the authority to impose. Setback, access, basic style of architecture, and subdued colors.
We're not gonna give anything on architectural that's not in our purview. She's already stated that she will meet all the setbacks and the access requirements, and that's a building code issue.
And
What do you-
that was so managed to when you apply for your building permit.
And what do you mean by the access requirements?
She has to get a driveway permit.
Thank you.
Certainly.
The city architect said no comment.
Yes.
So was that in the record?
Mr. Brown had provided us with his comments, and he said that as for the subdivision of land, he had no additional comment. So that being said, I will make a motion that the city of Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Subdivision Review, hereby grants subdivision approval to the applicant identified as, let's get this right, Corey Hyman, the owner of tax map number 302.15-6-6, commonly known as 38 Horizon Avenue, as presented at the meeting of 3 October 2023, with no other conditions.
Pursuant to the last map.
Pursuant to the final map that was submitted by Van Dusen and Steves and was signed today, 3 October 2023.
Second.
Any second? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is, again, some old business. This is an encroachment permit for Gabriel Matthias, owner of tax map number 309.27-6-23, commonly known as 20 Crandall Street, seeking an encroachment permit for a curb cut at this location, planning board review, and the issuance of an advisory opinion to the City of Glens Falls County Council required prior to the council's review and approval. Welcome back.
Yes, yes.
I know you provided us with some updated materials, assuming that everybody has had a chance to look through that. What can you tell us based
Yeah.
on what you provided us?
So we got the map, we did the measurements between the property and the house. We did the drive, how long the driveway would extend and all that. Everything's provided in those pictures, and we also got it through the numbers through the deed. And, yeah.
Okay. So you've gone through and provided us with some updated, updated pictures and updated sketches that you had put
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Based on that, and your distance to property lines and
Yes.
distances into the lot and things of that nature. Okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this application? No, hearing none. I will start with Mr. Landry.
I don't know if it really concerns us. Are you looking to get one car in there or two?
Possibly true.
It looks like it's 15 feet 4 inches, is that what your driveway is going to
In red.
Yeah.
be? In width, yeah.
As that fact, I know one as of right now, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And it looks like it's 20 feet 2 inches long?
Yes.
Is that what I'm looking at, Ethan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you're, based on this sketch that you've got here, you're 15 feet 4 inches in width
Yes.
and 20 feet 2 inches, and that's from the face of the sidewalk to the end of where they were parked. And that leaves 2 feet and change. It's a little more than 2 feet between the end of where you're parking and the property line to the edge. That's the adjoining neighborhood.
Yes, correct.
Is that to the property line or to the building?
Property line.
Because I couldn't see.
Because they have like a sidewalk, which is like their property line.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got that walkway that kind of runs
Yes,
along the edge.
yes.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
Okay. Mr. Belvin?
Yeah, I was there today, I had property line along the edge. I didn't see anything along the side of their house. I don't understand what you're talking about there. From your box here, when I measured it today, it's about 6.5 feet from the corner of that inside box to that was to the wall, not, I mean, obviously their house, the property line, I don't know where that is.
Right.
Like, I couldn't tell, you know, is there a house right on the property line? Is it property line 3 feet out from the house?
It's like the sidewalk. There's a sidewalk right across, right down the house.
There's a little walk
Yeah,
here.
it's like the splash pad.
Yeah, we even cut the weaves to make sure you guys
It's hard
could
to
see
unless
clear.
you're looking for it.
Yep.
So, and it only shows on one of the photos.
And that's the property line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that,
You can only see it on one of the pictures.
Yeah.
and that stake that's in the ground there is 2 feet to the,
Yes,
to the
correct,
concrete.
correct.
Okay.
Wow.
And it
That's,
goes-
that's inside stake is about 6.5, 7 feet from the wall of their house.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Other than not wanting my car in there with the snow coming off either one of those roofs.
Yeah, God bless you for that.
Yeah. Well, at least one slate, mine's is metal, so.
It's still gonna come off there.
That's
Yeah.
worse.
Fast.
Yeah, it's worse.
That's the worst.
And then are you protecting, do you have a fuel tank in the basement? Do you heat with fuel oil?
That's
That's natural gas.
Oh, okay, that's not bad,
Natural
okay.
gas, yeah.
But how close is your driveway to that? Because you don't want anybody hitting that either.
No, no.
6 feet.
Anything else?
But I made sure the driveway was like directly in the middle where it wouldn't affect, the snow wouldn't affect the car, any damage.
Are you you're gonna pave it blacktop?
Next summer, yes. Possibly.
Inside the house. We will go down spaces. Yeah, and then you can.
Anything else, Rick?
No, I'm sorry, no.
You said you're.
Sorry, I got in the zone,
I waited for
sorry.
you. Ms. Andrews?
No questions.
Question?
Not really, just I wouldn't want to be somebody getting out of that car.
So here's what I'm going to recommend to you for that. It is a metal roof, and that roof is going to unload. The snow,
Yes.
wet, sticky snow will stick to that roof. Once it freezes, it's going to unload.
Yes.
What you might want to look into are that they make things that are called snow stops. They're things that you can screw right into the roof, and it holds the snow
Yes,
from
yes.
sliding off. It just kind of melts and drops off in pieces.
Yes.
So in an instance like this, where you're putting a driveway right directly under that eave, at least for the area where you're going to be parking, is get those snow stops in there to prevent the snow from flying off the roof and hitting your cars.
Okay.
Okay? That's just a recommendation, do with it what you will, but the
Okay.
first time that a big chunk of ice comes off that eve and hits in the
Yes,
windshield of
yes.
the car, you're gonna thank yourself for getting those
Yes.
snow stops.
Yeah.
Okay?
Is there, maybe I'm missing it now, so it's just any kind of, I mean, that stop sign is right there,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're gonna be backing out into that, are we,
We made sure that we spaced it. It's kind of in the way, but we worked around it.
It's kind of a unique intersection.
Yeah, it is.
And where you've got 3 streets that kind of come together at a point.
Yes.
Actually, 4 streets, because you've got the extension of Crandall coming the opposite direction. What I would say to that, are if this were a more heavily traveled area, and really, I mean, there's no parking on that side of the street anyway. So if you had cars that were parked there, I think it would be a bigger issue. Because this is right at the stop sign, everybody should be pretty much stopped by the time they get there. And for somebody to come out of the driveway into a stopped area, I think is.
no, when I went there,
much
I
better.
parked, you know, put it right directly across the street, and that driveway and had to back out the same.
Yeah.
I just didn't know, for me, I've been on this for a couple of years
Yeah.
now, if there was a code issue that I missed, and the other place was grandfathered, this being so close to that intersection.
Correct.
So as long as there isn't, I don't really have an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Judd?
It's an advisory opinion, therefore no seeker is required.
Okay. Everybody good? Then I would like to make a motion, the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby submits the following advisory opinion to the common council, that the council should look with favor on the application of Gabriel Matthias for a curb cut at 20 Crandall Street, as presented at the meeting of 3 October 2023 with no amendments to the application.
Cool.
May I get a second?
Second that.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? You're all set.
Great,
They're off
great,
to
great.
the common council. They'll be on the agenda.
I believe
Okay.
October.
Yes.
We don't have to go though.
Okay.
If you want to, you all.
If you want to go to that meeting,
Okay.
it's the 3rd. 10. We're the
Oh, I lied.
3rd, 7 days.
I don't know, so I lied.
Okay, great. Anyway, I could get a copy?
Of what you submitted?
Yeah, that too. Thank you so much.
And then you'll get a resolution.
The resolution.
And your encroachment
Perfect.
permit, right?
Yeah, the resolution, Gabriel, actually comes from the common council.
Okay.
So that's the information that you submitted to us. The resolution that we just made will be in the city clerk's
Okay.
notes. And if you need to get a copy of that
Great.
resolution, you
Thank
get a
you
copy
so
of it in the
much.
city clerk.
So you're not approved until it goes through our conference.
Yeah, the common council actually makes the approval. We're just giving them a recommendation right now.
Okay.
So a week from tonight, at the common council meeting, they'll further, either review it further or go ahead and grant you the.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great night.
Good luck. All right, on to new business. First item of new business on our agenda is a sign review. 23-0009 pursuant to the City Code Chapter 180-6. Giovanni Casanacca. I'm going to reach on that one, I hope I said it right. Owner regarding tax map number 303.17-1-47, commonly known as 47 Lawrence Street, is seeking a sign approval for this location. Is there anyone here representing this application? All right, this was one that they kind of snuck in on us at the last minute. I think it was one of the last applications that came in to the board from memory. At this point, I think I will we want to table this.
We want to wait and see if they come back.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before I make an actual tabling motion, I'll just move on and we'll address this at the end of the meeting. The next application that we have is for site plan review 23-0016 pursuant to City Code Chapter 220-19C, subsection 5. Juan Martinez Ramirez, applicant representing the owner of tax map number 302.28-2-7, commonly known as 58 South Street, is seeking site plan approval for renovations and a change of use of the building. Is there anybody here representing this application? Please join us at the microphone. If you can state your name for the record.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's your name? Oh, my name is Juan
Juan.
from Martinez. Yeah.
My name is Nick Parker. I'm here to help him translate a little bit.
Okay, great. So tell us what we're looking at. What's your proposal here?
Oh, I want to try open a restaurant, small restaurant for the one sell like tacos, quesadilla, burritos for the make something like that.
Yep.
The
It's in
breakfast,
the-
like breakfast,
Yep.
like food fast like that.
It's all pre-existing. There's no construction. He's just buying new equipment and opening up.
Moving into that space that used to be, was that where Irish Pizza used to be?
Correct, yeah.
That's the space that Irish Pizza was in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No changes to the exterior of the building, it's just interior?
Just the sign on the exterior,
Yeah.
and just whatever modifications the health department wants for the interior. Minor plumbing,
Correct.
nothing major.
Okay. And any signage would be compliant with our sign ordinance?
I would assume so, yes.
Yes.
It'd actually be the same as the current sign.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address this application? Seeing none? Do we have anybody out there? Then I'm going to start with Mr. Lanfear.
It's good to see another one of those vacant areas, get some activity in there. I think that's not a bad thing at all. I don't see any issues at this point based on Department of Health and any other sign code as Ethan denoted. So I don't have any problem.
Ms. Andrews?
I don't have any problem with it. It'd be good to see that neighborhood kind of come to life a little.
Ms. Miller?
I agree. Everything makes sense.
Mr. Bell?
The hours are gonna be open late, do you have any idea yet what your hours are going to be?
I want to try open soon, but that's why I need to use approbation and the inspection after that.
Will you be breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
correct. It'll be late breakfast,
Yeah.
early dinner.
Late.
9:30, 10 to 8 or 9, something like that.
Okay. So it's not, you're
Not
not
like
going to be Dirty John's open until
No.
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
This is-
Cash.
That's just my curiosity, I'm looking forward to it, I live walking distance, a good addition to the neighborhood, and another new place opening up, is great. Really have any issues.
Mr. Lane?
I have no issues, Steve. I think it's a great, you're right on the cutting edge of that whole street, just getting better. So no, I think it's good. There's no concern as far as, are you gonna do like takeout? I mean, as far as parking and have cars coming in and out, that type, so take out and sit down.
Yeah, take out.
Mainly takeout. You'll probably have a few seats inside, similar to what Irish Pizza had.
Yeah, 14 seats.
Yeah, 14.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem.
We did get a review by our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown. His comment was the board should verify the applicant has responded to all the applicable site plan checklist reviews, items, and there's no concern provided the exterior of the building is not altered, and we've established that the building on the exterior will remain as it is. I too am glad to see somebody else moving down on the South Street and filling up some of those vacant storefronts. I wish you luck.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
I would entertain a motion.
Do we have any good signage on this?
No, that was what I asked him earlier. Any signage that comes in has to comply with the sign ordinance, that's all. With respect to seeker,
I would classify it as a type 2 action as it's maintenance and upgrades with no substantial changes to the existing structure or facility.
so
No further action is
So I'm
required.
glad there is a wall between you and me underneath this, because you kick me every time if I do. So, that being said, now can I get someone with a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Juan Martinez Ramirez and located at 58 South Street, as presented at the meeting of October 3rd, 2023.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Is it 58 or 62?
Yeah. What's the number?
62.
62.
Yeah, 62, yeah.
62.
Yeah, 62, sorry.
It's owned by Clarissa Olive at 58.
Gotcha.
That's fine.
62.
62.
Okay.
62,000. That's what's on the second. Yes. We have a second from Ms. Andrews. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set.
All right. Thank you so much.
When do you plan to open?
Maybe next
hungry?
week. All right. Thank you so much for your guys.
Thank you.
So does he have to wait until City Hall approves in the following? No, he's
You
good?
can go ahead and apply for your building permit. We've made the approval at this level.
Okay.
You can apply for your building permit now and move forward.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly, one thing at a time.
Did you notice a big change on South Street this week?
I can't say that I've been down South Street.
Did you hear Shabbat's going got painted?
No way.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
It's a weird color, said one of his neighbors did.
Leftover paint.
Nice.
I look at it, I don't know, you gotta go check it out.
All right.
It looks a lot better.
The next item on our agenda is listed as a sketch plan review. This is also looking for an advisory opinion to the Common Council. Sketch plan review 23-0002 pursuant to the City Code Chapter 220-27, subsection B, subsection 2, Matthew Fuller, Esquire, representing the owner of tax map number 302.20-21-2, commonly known as 4 Sherman Avenue, seeking a sketch plan review to rezone the parking lot from multifamily residential RM to general commercial GC1. Planning board review and the issuance of an advisory opinion to the City of Glens Falls Common Council is required prior to the council's review and approval. For the record, I will make it known that Mr. Marshall, who is representing the application this evening, I have worked with Mr. Marshall on other projects. I have not worked with Mr. Marshall on this project. Just wanted that to be known upfront. Good evening.
Primarily, he worked with Mrs. Marshall.
Primarily worked with Ms.
My name's Chuck Marshall. I'm from Stewart. I believe the last time I was here, only Miss Murray was a member of the board. If I'm wrong, I apologize.
I think that is correct.
So I'm here for the last one would be Ridge Street. So I'm here representing Stewart's. I think that this would be the last store in the city we haven't redeveloped or touched. But we're here for the store that is on Glen Street, abutting Sherman Ave. We control via contract for Sherman Ave. Just to give you a point of reference, this board approved a parking waiver in September for 333 Glen Street, which previously had its parking associated with this lot. The property is currently zoned residential multifamily. The parking lot in that zone is a non-conforming use. We would like to rezone the property, just to make sure I reference it correctly, General Commercial 1, as provided in the application material to the Planning Board and the City Council. The existing Stewart's on Glen Street is zoned General Commercial 1. And what the process would be if you're unfamiliar, and I apologize for anyone that's familiar, the process would be we made application to the City Council for the zone change. There is a requirement that a referral be made to the planning board for adherence to either the comprehensive plan or the zoning map. And then the common council would seek to amend the zoning or not, favorable or unfavorable. And then we would come back here for any site plan modifications. Our initial concept was just relocating the existing gas that's on Glen Street to Sherman Ave. We understand that this would, not only would it require the zone change as discussed, there would be a site plan consideration, and we illustrated that here today. It's really just the elimination of the gas on Glen, and then the movement of the gas to Sherman. At this point, that's it. I don't have really anything other to say. What I do think this enables is the current configuration for gas primarily on Glen is awful. We came to this board several years ago and disconnected the building from the canopy, and then did a small building addition to the rear. This will be just a modification of that. A window will be placed on the north side to make the gas pumps visible. And then what I anticipate is the planning board will seek to move the curb cuts as far south on Glen and as far west on Sherman as possible. So the awkward curb cut that exists, at the light. Yeah, I mean, and we kind of, when we look at these, we do kind of look at them holistically. There's just like the intersection is so awkward because it doesn't perpendicular, and the segment's so short along Sherman that there's really nothing, that we can do.
And the way that it drops off.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a 2-foot elevation to the parking lot, which will, require some modifications. And the sidewalk doesn't look like it's in the worst shape, but again, we would either replace in its entirety or repair any sections. We have, just because of previous experience in the city and with other neighbors, I did speak to I'm going to botch Kevin's name, Mr. Hurdy and Ms. Dickinson. I'm not going to represent their positions on this. Ms. Dickinson was kind of just like, if you're leaving my property alone, I already live next to Stewart's.
Which one is she?
She's One Bacon. So that's the first house on the side street. So I did, just because I don't like surprises, I did drop the application material off to their houses on Friday, and they had already said that they had received correspondence from the city.
Okay. So then I will ask, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this application?
I'm okay.
You're okay? All right, Kevin, thank you. Is there anybody online? No. Okay. You just came because you like to come and see us?
Actually, I've never been in here. And no, I just curious what Chuck was going to talk about.
Okay, good. So with that being said, we are looking tonight to make a advisory opinion to the common council regarding the rezoning. This is strictly, at this point, all we're talking about is rezoning. So for those of you who weren't here, I think Art and Tom, you weren't here when we did Warren Street?
No, it'd be Ridge. So that's actually
Ridge. We didn't have to rezone.
It did.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. So
I was thinking more about Warren Street.
Yeah. So
this I think is more comparable to what we did on Warren.
No.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, on the road.
On the roads.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
yeah, it definitely was.
There's no.
No, that one we didn't have to rezone. For the storage.
There's nothing about
No, no, no.
No, no.
No. I was just talking. I don't know if they're nice people, but I don't care about
They're
that.
next door to the other Stewarts. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. So when we did, when they redid the Warren Street Stewarts, if you remember how
They
small.
bought the building behind it, right?
they
And
did,
houses to the west.
to the north and to the west.
Yeah.
So they purchased some property, but the way the zoning code was set up, or the way the zoning line ran down Warren Street, it didn't encompass those lots that were in the back. So Stewart's came to us and asked for a zone change, and it's, as Matt says in his letter here, it's not spot zoning. It would be considered spot zoning if we were only taking one parcel and making it an individual parcel or an individual zoning that's not contiguous to that up. Basically, all we're doing here is similar to the lot line adjustment that we did at our last meeting, is all we're doing is taking the zoning and wrapping it around that, taking that RM zone where the parking lot is and pulling it into the GC1 zone.
Yes, sir.
When you do your remap, it's gonna be one parcel.
Yeah, they'll be consolidated. I mean,
You're not gonna have two parcels, it's gonna be one parcel.
correct, and there are municipalities where if you combine via lot line, you have the ability to
Choose which zone you're in.
correct.
Zone you're in.
But unfortunately, for us in this instance, we
This-
don't.
in this
But I do
instance-
think, to the chairman's point, I do think it's relevant to know that both Warren Street and Ridge Street had zone changes.
Yeah.
And with very minor exception, I think they were both positively received.
I
in the
think so
city.
as well.
So this is for an advisory opinion for zoning only. You're not doing the seeker for the advisory opinion. The common council will do the seeker for the rezone. And they'll hold a public hearing, then there'll be a resolution. They'll do their own seeker. Then this applicant will come back for site plan review. You will do the seeker relative to site plan review.
At that.
And the site plan review would be just for the gas plant.
Yeah, whatever modifications are done, but at that point, it'll almost actually be type 2 seeker, only because it's no commercial construction less than 4,000 square feet.
But at that point, I mean, that point, we're
He
looking
says
at.
unlisted, but, oh, he says that for the zoning change.
Yeah,
For the zone
Yeah.
change. Yeah, it's unlisted for the zoning change, but for that.
If he were here, it's 617.5 C9. I use it a lot.
That's what he would tell you. So that being said, where did I start before? I'm going to start with Mr. Lampier.
Well, there, again, we're just looking for,
So this is sketch plan review. So this, what this is going to do is, you know, we've gotten a brief overview of what it is that they want to do. And then they are requesting the zone change. We have to give an advisory opinion to the common council. So based on that,
You're telling the common council, we don't think there's a problem with this, and.
Or we think there's a major
There's a
problem.
problem, and why, or you could say, look, this seems to fit, it's right next to the GC1. Right now, you have a parking lot, which is a non-conforming use in the multifamily residential, by the way. I don't know how that happened, but.
that, I'm sure that predates, I'm sure that parking lot predates.
Or was there
What
a
that-
house there and burned and never, I don't know.
No, it was all part of 333.
333,
When they
one of their
originally did the
parking
Continental
lots.
Building.
Oh, way back.
Yeah, so back in the 70s when you.
I'm sure.
Before the garage.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what-
They had all outline parking.
Yeah, and that's what enabled,
That was
They
one
had
of
all
their,
outline parking.
yeah, and the garage is what enabled you to grant the waiver.
What was there
Well,
before?
the garage was built for travelers.
The parking lot was built as part of the Continental Building originally.
Oh, really? This was the garage?
No, the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, no. What I'm saying though is that the garage enabled the waiver. Like, if you didn't have the parking garage, you wouldn't have granted the waiver. Because it would have been attached to their site plan.
So you're okay with the zoning?
with the zoning change.
Ms.
it
Ingrid?
makes good sense. It makes good sense.
Okay.
I agree.
The only thing I would say is that, just the lighting, which is gonna be a code thing, you guys are gonna do the right thing in the hours. 24 hours, I hate the companies on bag. You know, you're in still.
I hate all companies.
Residential area, and if I could change that, that thing would close at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock.
We're not 20.
Well, you're not.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that if there was anything to do with that other, the plot plan then looks great. It's just an hours of operation, and that's my thoughts on it. It's stores closes at.
I think 11. Should-
Yeah, so it's fine.
Mr. Mayor?
No, I'm good.
All good with you?
Yep.
The only thing that I will offer, Mr. Marshall, is that you hit the nail right on the head. My first comment on the site plan was these two curb cuts need to go away.
Yeah.
The two curb cuts that are up closest to the corners, in my opinion, are the biggest detriment to that store. I understand that there's no other way to get in off of Sherman Avenue, but when I sit at a light on Sherman and watch people pull out of that and go diagonally north up Glen Street, I'm waiting for somebody to get creamed there, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
Yeah, one of the things I think we're gonna have to, it's not for today, but one of the things I think we're gonna have to consider, I could see a benefit of a right-in, like, and then, like, so like, one way in, one way out
Yeah.
on Glen, with the in being closest, to Sherman.
And that one is okay.
Yeah.
That one is.
It's the full access down closer to Bacon, and I think it's, again, compounded because Bacon's a one-way street heading
And
west.
Yeah, and the curb cut on Bacon is the entire length of the property for the most part. Yeah.
Well,
A good share of it.
we're not gonna abandon what we're right, giving
No,
rights
no,
to.
100%. And those aren't the ones, and again, those aren't the ones on my
Yeah.
map that I marked up.
Yeah,
The one that I marked up is that one that's right on the corner going out to Sherman.
Yeah.
And I think that this gives you the opportunity to utilize that in and out that's on Sherman farther down and gets you out of traffic. And I think that what will happen once you're there is what I see similar happening, what happened up on Ridge Street, is that those ins and outs, when traffic stops, if you're a courteous driver, you'll leave that opening, and that'll be the big challenge. But I think once it's up and running, people will understand if you don't stop and block that in and out on that part of Sherman Avenue, it would work much better.
Okay,
So that's.
I anticipate that as a comment.
You beat me to it. That being said, we don't do seeker on this.
No.
So we're all set with that. So it's just at this point an advisory opinion. So I would like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby submits the following advisory opinion to the Common Council, that the council should look with favor on the rezoning application for, we have this listed as, it's actually listed as Matthew Fuller Esquire, representing the owner of tax map number 302.20-21-2, commonly known as 4 Sherman Avenue, for the rezoning from the multifamily residential RM to general commercial GC1, as presented at the meeting of 3 October 2023. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
So you're off to the Common Council.
I'll wait to hear from them, but I would anticipate the 24th, only because of the notice for the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, seeing how we have no applicant for this sign variance or sign application, at this point, I will make a motion to table that application to the November next meeting. And hopefully we will get an applicant who will be here to present something for that. One other item that I know of on my agenda. Oh, can I have a second for the table?
Second.
Second. Anybody opposed to that? Okay, so we're all good with that. And you can take it. Couple of things that I think are coming up, and Karen, you can speak to one of these. I know that the architectural consultant, Mr. Brown, has obviously given his resignation. We pulled him back in, and he's been providing us with his reviews. I believe that someone has applied for the job.
Yes, the mayor and I met with the applicant and an offer has been extended.
So with any luck at all, by the November meeting, we'll have a clearer understanding moving forward on an architectural consultant for this board. Ms. Culligan asked this evening, she had a conflict and wasn't able to make it, so she'll be back for the November meeting. The only other thing that I would like to address to this board, and we typically start talking about it now so that in December when it happens, we're on top of the game, is our holiday Christmas get-together. In the past several years, what we've done is kind of gone to Fenimore's after the meeting on the Tuesday in December. It's the early part of December. All of our various people are welcome to join. Or is that something that you can coordinate through Fenimore's?
No problem.
Do you have any in there, maybe? And I think, is everybody, did everybody feel that that was worthwhile? I don't, I mean, come last year, but, I mean, I know we've done it in the past. Last year, we really didn't do typically a sit down. But
Well, I had a couple vegetable food pay or something.
yeah. In the past, we have done an actual sit down where they put the tables together and we could go in and do it. So how does everybody feel? Do we feel that it's better to just kind of have a cocktail hour and we can order off the menu if we so desire? I mean, I thought that.
Ordering off the menu sort of requires somebody to sit down, so I kind of go for the sitting down.
Well, we had that big center stone thing there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And all that.
and
It's
this-
kind of, that worked pretty
Are they
good.
busy on Tuesday nights?
But nobody ordered last year.
What's that?
Are they busy on Tuesday
It was
nights?
just
Why
like
don't you
a
make sure we
The other option is,
We-
you know,
yeah.
make that along.
But if you order, you sort of want to sit.
You do sort of want to sit, and we would have, you know, the bar area and that, in that area, but I do tend to agree with you. If you wanted to actually do a meal, that's why I'm saying, would we prefer to have a sit down?
Everybody do it.
You would prefer kind of sit down?
Well, that's
Would it be advantageous
Have our own
to,
space.
like, just chip in on advertisements, as a group? Or, I don't know, something that you guys
Don't-
would be.
We can go over to the other room too.
That might be nice. Go over to Park 26.
Sure.
Oh.
And then we have our own space.
I would be all in favor. Is that something that you can put together for us? What's the meeting date?
Oh, wait, should be, we're still
So
on.
we're sorry.
I make a motion that we adjourn the public. We adjourn the meeting of 3 October 2020. All in favor?
We
Any
are.
opposed?
Okay, there's flowers.